Welcome to TzuChi This Week. I'm Dennis Wu. It's good to have you with us. As Taiwan kicks off Lantern Festival celebrations, TzuChi volunteers are also taking the opportunity to promote environmental conservation and trash reduction. In Malacca, Malaysia, TzuChi hosts the first ever New Year Carnival, inviting nearly 800 care recipients back for the annual reunion. And we travel to South Africa to learn more about the plight of the Zulu people, how TzuChi is helping them become self-sufficient. Yuan Xiao or Lantern Festival is celebrated on the 15th day of the first month of the lunar calendar, which happened to be this past Thursday. In Taiwan, the main Lantern Festival event opened in Miaoli on Thursday evening. The venue was packed with visitors there to see the elaborate lantern displays. As always, crowds of people also produce a large amount of garbage, so local TzuChi volunteers split into teams and went around the rounds to encourage festival goers to protect the environment.
The bright lights of Taiwan's Lantern Festival attract flocks of people who in turn produce an awful lot of garbage. TzuChi volunteers hold up banners to encourage the crowd to take care of the planet.
We're asking people to not to litter and interacting with them. Some visitors ask us for directions.
Splitting up, the volunteers go in teams of 2 to spread the word, and they do not stop marching even in daylight.
With so many people, it's a chance for us to mobilize residents. We're giving them the idea that environmentalism is to save the planet.
When the volunteers spot some elementary school students here to see the lanterns, they grab the chance with both hands. One visitor from Taipei, Miss Xue, snaps the earnest volunteers with her camera for posterity.
Cutting energy and emissions is very good, and the TzuChi volunteers are hardworking.
The volunteers say it only takes a little effort to properly dispose of your garbage and still enjoy the spectacle of Lantern Festival.
As mentioned, Lantern Festival is celebrated on the 15th day of the Chinese New Year. No one is sure how the tradition started, but one neighborhood in Taipei is trying to get back to its roots by inviting residents to hang up handmade lanterns by their doors. Over 100 homes got involved, illuminating up the whole community with points of light.
The lanterns hanging up in front of houses along this street in Kangqinglong community of Taipei and Taiwan are individually designed by the residents. The local cultural association is promoting the activity to go back to the early traditions of Chinese Lantern Festival.
It's a small community event, so you can stroll around the neighborhood. Of course, there are big lanterns on the main street, but we want to revitalize community lanterns.
Lantern Festival is a major event on the Chinese calendar. There are many versions of the story of its origins. One is that when Emperor Han Wendi came to the throne on the 15th day of the Chinese New Year, he had colorful lanterns made for a public celebration.
The average person on the street could go into the palace to enjoy the lanterns. That kind of exchange meant that the emperor was loved by his people.
As well as going to major displays, Lantern Festival is a time for the community and families to come together and celebrate in a spirit of warmth and camaraderie.
Next, we arrive in Malacca, Malaysia, for the first ever TzuChi Chinese New Year Carnival. The some 700 volunteers, including Muslims and Catholics, worked together to serve nearly 800 TzuChi care recipients. TzuChi scholarship recipients from East Timor also performed a traditional dance for the event. Also present was an armless Chinese calligrapher who hoped to inspire others with her story. In Malacca, Malaysia, nearly 800 TzuChi care recipients have gathered at the local TzuChi chapter grounds for the annual Chinese New Year celebration, which for the first time takes the form of a carnival. The armless Chinese calligrapher He Xuemei from China writes Master Zeng Yan's Jinsi aphorisms by tying a brush to her right hand. After losing both of her arms due to an accident while working at a firecracker factory, Xuemei invested more than 10 years in learning the art. She hopes her story can inspire others.
I think it's wonderful that we're able to make use of ourselves. Everyone has their talents. Whenever we can do, we should give it our best.
Unlike her, we have to use our hands. That means we have a responsibility to work even harder, serve even more people, or commit even more time to recycling.
Sharing stories and experiences, the Huang sisters have also vowed to save a little more every day and contributed to TzuChi.
In our time of need, TzuChi was there to help. It is only natural that we find a way to reciprocate.
These TzuChi scholarship recipients from East Timor are giving back in their own unique way by sharing their traditional dance with others.
It is very important for the kids also to share their knowledge, to share their culture with others. Yeah, it's not like only taking, but they also have to give something out back to the community, to the Malaysian people. So it's really happy to do something to other people.
Some 700 local volunteers work hard behind the scenes to make the festival a success. Their numbers include Muslims and 80 students and teachers from St. Francis Middle School who are here to learn more about volunteering.
One day my own parents will also grow old, so I need to be nice to them as much as possible. I need to learn to be filial and grateful to my parents.
I'm so happy. It's like my worries have melted away.
At this year's TzuChi family reunion, everyone is having a wonderful time celebrating the new year, as well as sharing their love to give each other the strength to continue on. In the United States, TzuChi U.S. headquarters also had something to celebrate, which was the return of TzuChi World to Los Angeles airwaves after going off air in 2002. Now the program can be heard on AM 1300 every Saturday morning and is also available for download on TzuChi website.
亲爱的听众朋友们，大家早，我是池燕，我是慈香，感恩您收听今天慈济世界第一集的播出。
TzuChi World, a radio broadcast put together by the TzuChi U.S. headquarters, has been back on the air as of February 5th. Due to the vast size of Los Angeles, various newspapers, television, and radio shows all work to help keep the local Chinese communities in touch. The return of TzuChi's radio broadcast will do much to help propagate the TzuChi spirit.
AM 1300 is the only local Chinese radio station that broadcasts 24/7. We're very happy that we're able to spread the teaching of TzuChi through such a platform.
After 3 months of planning, the U.S. headquarters put together a team of 9 to lead its radio program. The team worked hard to incorporate Master Zeng Yan's teaching into their show.
From the first draft to the final draft to all later revisions, we divided ourselves into teams to practice and prepare. It has been tense and the pressure is high, but it is also an honor and privilege.
The content of TzuChi's music contains the essence of the Dharma. By going on air, we are in fact spreading the Dharma.
After going off the air 8 years ago, once again TzuChi World is being made available to the people of Los Angeles and is helping inspire kindness and compassion in local Chinese communities. Slum fires are a common occurrence in the Philippines. On February 3rd, in Manila's Santa Cruz district, Barangay 330 suffered a fire that left an estimated 123 families without homes. On the very next day, TzuChi volunteers carried out a damage assessment before they returned on the 5th to distribute relief supplies. Residents expressed their gratitude by contributing to TzuChi.
Driving through the city to get to their destination, TzuChi volunteers arrive at a slum community by an inland waterway. Most of the residents here work as scavengers or laborers who toil to make ends meet. What little belongings they own have all been burned to ashes in the sudden fire. In the chaotic ruin that is still permeating with smoke, children and adults alike fumble through the charred remains. Staying in a tent as their makeshift home, fire victim Juliet Abijay and her family have already been through this once.
This feels like a nightmare, a second fire that happened in our community. Our lives are already hard enough as it is, and along came the fire. It's a trial that we have to face.
To help the 123 families affected by the fire, TzuChi volunteers bring much-needed blankets, clothes, tableware, cutlery and rice. Head of the barangay, Angel Riviero Jr. also puts on a volunteer vest to show his support.
I'm very sorry about what had happened here. However, with so many people's help, we have managed to stand back up after the fire. In particular, we would like to thank the TzuChi Foundation for the good things you have done. I hope you will continue to spread this love.
Hoping to spread the scope of the assistance, disaster victims contributed what money they can, while many also donated clothes that filled 7 big bags.
We want to share our blessings with others. These clothes were given to us by the Department of Social Welfare and Development. TzuChi volunteers have shown us that these clothes can be used to help the less fortunate.
In the aftermath of every fire, TzuChi's care and love flow forth, embracing the affected people who have shown time and again their unflappable faith in life and love for their community.
We return to Taipei, Taiwan for our next story, where we find volunteers using their hearts and heads to help those in need. TzuChi volunteers have long been worried about a stroke sufferer living in Taipei's Siling district. This care recipient, his right side paralyzed since the stroke, has spent his days in an old-fashioned, hand-operated hospital bed, which was unwieldy and tiring to adjust. Fortunately, volunteers, upon receiving a donation of an automatic medical bed, remembered his condition and delivered the bed to him. Volunteers hope to deliver this automatic bed donated by Mrs. Lin to the home of one of their care recipients. The question is how to move the heavy and unwieldy bed to its destination. Mr. Wu, an expert in the field of medical beds, moved by the enthusiasm of the volunteers, offers his leadership and expertise. Disassembling the bed and moving it downstairs is a Herculean task. Loading the bed onto a truck, driving it to the care recipient's home before carrying it upstairs is the second challenge that faces these volunteers. Carrying up the small staircase, passing through the narrow door, and finally reassembling the bed. The bed is not only more comfortable for the stroke victim, but makes his caregiver's task much easier.
The old bed had to be raised and lowered by hand. It took a lot of strength. This automatic bed makes things so much easier. I'm really happy to have it.
As she's getting older, we were afraid that using the hand-operated mechanism will soon be too much for her. Now things should be much more convenient. She was certainly happy when seeing the bed and extremely grateful for our long-term presence and help.
Selflessly giving their all, the volunteers apply help just where it is most needed.
On this day, the 19th of February, the author of the modern heliocentric theory, Nicholas Copernicus, was born on this day in 1473. Copernicus came up with the astronomical model that showed the Sun is the center of the solar system and that the other planets circulate around it. His theory was published in 1543, the year of his death. Copernicus's contributions marked an important revolution in the history of science. American inventor Thomas Alva Edison announced his invention of the phonograph, a device to record and replay sounds, on the 21st of November 1877. It was on this day in 1878 that this phonograph received its patent in the United States. The invention drove the development of the modern recording industry. Taipei's Songshan Airport was first developed in the 1930s. As the first international airport in Taiwan, it was also called the Taipei International Airport. On this day in 1964, the airport's first terminal was completed. When Taoyuan International Airport opened in 1979, Songshan Airport switched to domestic flights only, and it wasn't until 2008 that international services to China and Japan resumed. On this day in the year 2000, 85 members of TzuChi's Teachers Association received their commissioner certificates from Master Zheng Yan. This was the first group of teachers who not only promoted and implemented Jingse aphorisms in their materials, but also took on the role of Da-ai mothers to spread the seeds of love in schools.
When Taiwanese businessman Pan Minshui emigrated to Durban, South Africa, his background as a volunteer for TzuChi compelled him to try to help local people in the poor Zulu community. In 1995, he set up what would become the first of many sewing classes. Now there are hundreds of vocational training centers which empower Zulu women by giving them the skills to earn their own income. The women started volunteering in their communities, making clothes for 8 orphans, and even growing vegetables and cooking food to feed them. More than 524 TzuChi vocational training centers have been established in Durban, helping over 10,000 Zulu women become self-sufficient. The program is still thriving today.
Known as the Zulu Kingdom, KwaZulu-Natal is the only province in South Africa that still has an established monarchy. The system is a product of the unique power structure of the Zulu nation. However, the wealth gap between the cities and countryside means that almost half the economically active population of KwaZulu-Natal are unemployed. Life is generally harsh for Zulus who rely on farming for a living. When Pan Minshui immigrated to Durban, his background as a volunteer for the Buddhist TzuChi Foundation gave him a deep conviction to give back to the land where he was making a living. Saddened by the plight of the Zulu people, the ethnic Chinese man went into black communities. In 1995, he established a sewing group in Durban to train Zulu women with the skills to earn a living. The workshop used leftover fabric from a garment factory and old sewing machines donated by TzuChi. Today, Twolakele Makazi is in charge of one of the vocational training centers in the Umlazi district, which was established last year.
I've got a sewing group here. There are 12 of them. Oh, get him in a spelling on your rule. Utunga got a shot and machine. Machine slope. I got a Zamang Gangan. Stungelabanto and about it and done.
You enjoy sewing clothes?
Yes.
From the first in 1995 up until today, over 524 vocational training centres have taught more than 10,000 Zulu women to sew. Starting by teaching Zulu women how to make their own clothes, the program has slowly expanded to commercial sales and production of a variety of handicrafts. Every vocational training centre is like a small garment factory. The customers are neighbours from the local community, and orders also come in from schools and churches. The program empowers Zulu women, giving them a real income and renewed self-confidence at home.
To take your eyes to your man, may you please give me money to buy salt? And the man said, oh, he's roaring because of his money. No, we are not those moms now. We are so proud for that. As you see, that we are proud for this.
And so the brainchild of a TzuChi volunteer helped turn Zulu women into entrepreneurs, pulling them out of poverty and giving them a higher status in the family. The program also led to a remarkable growth in charity work. Women from the vocational training centres started volunteering to take care of HIV/AIDS orphans, with even more enthusiasm than they showed in their paid work. In the last decade, over 5,000 Zulus have become TzuChi volunteers, taking care of HIV/AIDS sufferers and over 5,000 HIV/AIDS orphans. The vocational training centres turn out tailor-made clothes for the orphans. And Zulu volunteers have opened over 120 charity vegetable gardens and over 120 food stations, which are run by local volunteers who grow and harvest vegetables for the stations. Apart from small-scale farming, the volunteers fundraise and dig into their own pockets to buy rice, corn flour and other foods to make up for the shortfall from the vegetable plots. Tolakele Makizi is also responsible for a food station that feeds 73 orphans. 3 days a week she volunteers in the kitchen with other women from the community to cook simple but nourishing and homely food for the children. For most of the HIV/AIDS orphans, this is the only meal they will get all day. In TzuChi, the Zulu women have gone from recipients to givers of aid.
Didn't think about helping others before?
No, I doesn't think about helping another one. I was just thinking about myself. If I help myself, it's all right, and my family, nobody else aside. I just look at them. When she said, oh, that's it. She said, oh, I'm safe. Okay, just pass. I doesn't give any help. Now, so she told me to help the kids.
这种纯粹真心的爱去关怀，那就这样，所有这些自己以为是很可怜的人呢，慢慢的去被这种爱所启发了，不但感动了，又被启发了。他们呢，就渐渐的学会去关心跟爱比他们更可怜的人。
Seemingly worlds apart, but in the same country, in June of last year the FIFA World Cup came to South Africa in a blaze of publicity. At the same time, a group of Zulu volunteers living in run-down tin-roofed shacks turned the tables on poverty and dared to stand up and reach out a helping hand to others in need.
At the end of today's program, we travel to New Jersey of the United States, where volunteers have turned a local TzuChi academy into a vegetable country to help students learn more about the benefits of eating more greens. Thank you for watching TzuChi this week. Have a good weekend. Goodbye.